Now we're legal, I think. That's great. Welcome, everybody. And I am pleased to see all of you at the Regional Transit Partnership meeting. And today is Thursday, July the 22nd. It's gorgeous outside. I think we should be outside for our meeting, but welcome, everyone. The first order of business, as you all know, is to read the notice of electronic meeting. So let me do that first. This meeting of the Regional Transit Partnership is being held pursuant to Code of Virginia 2.2-3708-2, which allows a public body to hold electronic meetings when the locality in which it is located has declared a local state of emergency. And the catastrophic nature of the emergency makes it impractical or unsafe to assemble a quorum in a single location. And the purpose of the meeting is to provide for the discharge of its lawful purposes, duties, and responsibilities. This meeting is being held via electronic video and audio, meaning through Zoom online meetings, and is accessible to the public with closed captioning, and there will be an opportunity for public comment during that portion of the agenda. Notice has been provided to the public through notice at the TJPDC offices, to the media, website posting, and agenda. The meeting minutes will reflect the nature of the emergency. The meeting was held by electronic communications means and the type of electronic communication means by which the meeting was held. A recording of the meeting will be posted at the tjpdc.org website within 10 days of the meeting. So with that, we have an agenda before us and I need approval of the agenda. I believe I would entertain a motion to approve.
Diantha, did you want to do attendance?
Oh, attendance. I'm sorry. I forgot about that. I'm following my script incorrectly, I guess. All right, Jessica, will you call attendance for us, please?
Sure. And everyone, as always, I won't be able to see you, so please respond verbally. Diantha McKeel, Albemarle County.
I am present.
Lucas Ames, Jaunt Urban. Has B joined us?
Not yet.
Not yet. Lloyd Snook, City of Charlottesville.
I am here.
Nakaya Walker, City of Charlottesville.
Present.
Neil Sherman, DRPT.
Present.
Hal, help me out with your last name.
Hal Morgan, Fluvanna Rural Representative for JAUNT.
Thank you, Hal. Becca White, UVA.
I'm present. Thank you.
Garland Williams, CAT.
Present.
Karen Davis, JAUNT.
Present.
Jim Foley, Albemarle County Student Transportation.
I am present.
Sandy Shackelford, MPO staff.
Present.
Sarah Pennington, Rideshare.
Present.
Sally LeBeau, UVA Hospital. Peter Thompson, Charlottesville Area Alliance. And that concludes the roll.
Great, thank you very much. And our next order of business is to approve the agenda. So I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda, please.
I move we approve the agenda.
That's Becca, and second?
Second.
Who was second? Oh, Nakaya. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed and any abstentions? So we have an agenda before us, and the next order of business will be the matters from the public, and the public has 3 minutes to speak. And Jessica, I think you might know if we have anyone from the public who wants to speak.
It looks like there is one member of the public who is joining us. I don't know if she wishes to speak.
Great, let's see if she does. Who might that be?
If you wish to speak, you can just unmute yourself. You have 3 minutes. And if not, it looks like we can move on.
She's not wanting to speak. Okay, doesn't need to say anything. All right, that's fine. The next item on the agenda is approval of the draft meeting minutes from June So are there any comments, edits, questions about the minutes as they were presented? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval. Oh, Becca,
Yeah, sorry.
that's okay.
The letter that was attached from C3, will that be attached to these minutes?
That's a good
Yes.
catch. So the letter was not in our packet, is what you're saying. So Christine is nodding her head and Jessica is nodding their head. Yes, so it will be.
Okay, so I just, I'd like, in the, however the record can show, of course, the letter will be there, and Christine and I have talked a little bit about this, but there's a statement in the letter about UVA, so I'm not changing the letter or anything, of course, but I just, if there's an opportunity to add to this meeting's minutes, a comment on the minutes, and Christine said I could do this, is that there's a reference to UVA getting our transit fleet to 100% EV by within some number of years. And I just wanted to clarify that UVA has not published a timeline for our exploration into EV transit buses, and that the statement I'd like to make is just that we're exploring that option to meet UVA's sustainability goals. And so I'd like that to be clear.
We can surely do that.
Thank you.
And I see the correct nodding of heads from the right folks. So, so with that, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes with that additional statement from Becca to be included. Is there a motion from someone?
If I can move, yeah, okay, I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. So all those in favor of approving the minutes as amended, please say aye.
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 Any abstentions?
One.
Nakaya, probably because you were not present, I
I
think.
wasn't
isn't it?
present the entire time. I was scheduled for another meeting and I.
Yeah, you had to leave early. I remember, Nakaya. Okay, anyone voting no? So the motion passes with one abstention. All right, so we have our meeting minutes completed. Member spotlight is next, and it looks like to me Neil Sherman and Garland Williams are going to be the spotlight folks, which is exciting. So with that, would you all like to take it away? The spotlight is, of course, as you all know, an opportunity to get to know everyone. And we're anxious to find out some exciting information about Neil and Garland.
Carl, you want me to go first?
Yeah.
I guess so.
We'll
So
get
again,
you. Go for it.
for those who, I think I've been coming to the meetings for about 2 years now. Neil Sherman with the Department of Rail Public Transportation, and I'm the Director of Statewide Transit Programs. And I guess normally I would tell you how long I've been with the state, but since there are people here at this meeting who weren't born when I started, I prefer not to go in that direction. But I will tell you, I started at the Virginia Department of Transportation and was able to move over to what was then a division of Department of Rail and Public Transportation, and later became the Department of Rail and Public Transportation. And I will tell you, it's been the difference between working in a large program at VDOT and coming into DRBT is just a wonderful thing. We're a small agency, and so we've always had situations where we can get out to work with the public and work with our agencies, our grantees. And I think as an agency, we've had a lot of successes throughout the state, and I think the enjoyment is working with the transit systems and seeing what they're trying to do and helping them out as best we can, because they're on the front line doing that. And so I will tell you, I spent a lot of time in my first part of my career is working with the elderly disabled programs in public transportation and human service. So I've always found that to be a wonderful benefit of working and seeing what produces out there when you put vehicles out there that are useful. I know that I've been told many times the vehicles we provide people to get to programs that they could not get to before, and see where they go. And so I think that's been vital. But in the last 5 years, this has been, I've been as a director, working throughout the state and everything but Northern Virginia, just seeing the growth of transit, knowing we're a state that provides state funding, and there are a lot of states that don't. We do meet with the other states to see what our role is, just beneficial. And then I think just in the last 15 months, and I really want to compliment the transit systems and the programs that had to put transit out during the COVID and the continued, which is still the pandemic going on, that we were very excited that and proud to say that we had very few shutdowns or slowdowns, and people really, drivers and directors went out in the front line to get service out there to people who normally couldn't get to shopping and medical trips and things. And so I would say the last 2 years the benefit of working at state and seeing what that is. And, I think we provided some assistance to getting state money early to agencies, and then later too, working with the federal program to do that. So just like to, say, we've always, as an agency, most of the places we go, we feel welcome when we come. Because we do go out and do meetings, and we do go out and do tours, and we're not always doing compliance reviews. So I think it's been, my time has been wonderful working in transit, and hopefully I'll do it for a few more years.
That's great. I appreciate it, Neil. Very interesting. So it's fun to learn a little bit about all of our members as we go through these get to know yous. Garland, I think you're next.
Hey, Garland, do you mind if I step in really fast? We have a call-in number. I want to ensure that B is on the line. I apologize for jumping in. B, can you hear us?
I can.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Me?
And then, yes,
Thank
we
you.
can hear you perfectly well. And then just for your own information, because I hear that you might be in a pretty public space, if you are interested, the mute on your phone would be *6 to mute and *6 to unmute.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Sorry, Garland.
Thank you, Christine, for taking care of B. Okay, Garland, go right ahead.
Sure. So following Neil. So I finished Virginia Commonwealth University in 1993 with a degree in economics. At that time, it was pretty tough getting the job, but I did find an opportunity with the state at that time, and I enrolled in the state's management apprenticeship program for transit. That program was headed up by Daryl Feasel at the time, and I was sent out to Roanoke, Virginia. So I spent 2 years working with Radar, which is their paratransit provider, and Valley Metro. After those about 2.5 years, I was going to graduate school going back to VCU, got an opportunity to go to GRTC as a planning assistant at the time. That's where I met Neil Sherman. That was 1995. So we've known each other for over 25 years, dating ourselves here. The director at that time was Rollo Axton. He's passed away now, but Rollo was a great guy. And we've had, so I spent 7.5 years working my way up through transit at GRTC, was assistant director of scheduling at the time, and went to the city of Richmond just before the changeover in government. So I worked with the city manager there before it became a strong mayor form of government. I was a senior planning and management assistant, planning management analyst at the city of Richmond. Worked my way up to the assistant director of budget and strategic planning before becoming a senior assistant to the chief administrative officer. So at that time, I left. The transition happened. Worked with Mayor Wilder, who was a governor and switched over to mayor. That was a eye-opening 4 years. And then Mayor Jones came in after that, and spent 8 years under Mayor Jones, and then went back to GRTC as the Director of Planning and Scheduling at that time. Finished graduate school and had an opportunity to work on some pretty interesting projects. Expanded service in Richmond, probably doubled our range and radius. Got the BRT project, which is one of the most successful ones that's been implemented in probably the last 10, 15 years. Hopefully going to do something like that here. So looking forward to doing more innovative things. We got a great team here. Money always helps. So the more money we got, the more things we can do, the more it helps and move things around. So I want to say publicly to Neil and the team, they've been wonderful to CAT, and they've been wonderful to the state, the other transit agencies around the state. But with their tutelage, it's been outstanding. If I can, I just want to introduce somebody who just popped up. Samuel Sanders is the city's new deputy for operations. So he just popped up, and he will be he's the senior representative from the City of Charlottesville that sits on RTP. He's taking, I guess it was Mike Murphy and then Paul Obendorfer. So it's Sam now. So Sam, if you will, can you just say hello to everybody?
Hello, everyone. Sorry, apologies for my tardy. I was trying to wrap up at the same time that this one started. So I look forward to getting to know more of you and plugging myself into this regional transportation conversation.
So welcome, Sam. And this is the time when we get to know people. Just give us the real quick short, where did you come from?
Okay. All right. Will do. I won't go on like Garland. I'll make sure it's even shorter. So I am just relocated from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Tuscaloosa, Alabama is home, but been in Louisiana for quite some time. That's my wife's neck of the woods. So I decided to take her home from Newport News when I finished school at Christopher Newport. So this is coming back to Virginia for me. It's been an interesting ride. Didn't know what I was going to do with my life when I first finished at CNU, and thought I was going to be a war correspondent, and ended up fighting wars all over neighborhoods, and community development kind of became my priority. So I care about people and making sure opportunity reaches them. So I've been doing a variety of things. I've found my way over the past 15 years specifically into a number of different conversations. And I think the job that Chip called me about checks all those boxes. Most of what I'm now overseeing is where I've been complaining a lot about what's not working and wanting to figure out how to make systems work. So I decided to come to Charlottesville and give it a try, and hopefully I'll make a difference in the work that we need to get done around here.
Well, that's great. Well, welcome. And do I sense a little bit of Louisiana there with you and Chip, maybe?
There is a connection. We did have the pleasure of working with each other. I will tell you, I was one of Chip's chief complainers when things weren't working in one of the key departments that he worked in. He got to know me because I did not bite my tongue about complaining about what's wrong. And I wasn't one that always came with just the problem. I came with solutions. So we built a great connection there. So I look forward to being a part of his team here.
Well, great. I appreciate it. And Garland, I didn't mean to steal time from you, but did you have something else you wanted to finish up for? Because I'm very.
I just wanted to highlight the fact that, Sam, you did take just as much time as I did.
I knew you were going to tell me that. I thought you were waiting to tell me later, but you're right. Okay, sorry.
Jessica may have had her timer going, I'm not sure. But between you and Neil, and it sounds like to me, Sam, and many of the other people on this screen, we really have people that have had a lot of time and experience with transit, which is wonderful. And we are very appreciative of that. So having said that, then let me look at my next agenda.
Diantha, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'd also like to point out that Hal Morgan has joined us for the first time, and he is now the rural representative for JAUNT, replacing Randy Parker.
Oh, great. Hal, hey, And I'm sorry, because I think I was busy trying to get B online when you jumped on. And I apologize. Welcome. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, Hal.
Well, let's see, I have about 40 years' experience in public transportation. I worked for the American Bus Association, a couple consulting firms, working from projects for their Federal Transit Administration until I retired in 2018. I was 25 years with the Taxi Cab and Limousine and Paratransit Association. And I was on the TRB Rural Committee and the Rural and Interstate Bus Committee and the Paratransit Committee for a number of years. And I moved to Palmyra and in 2020 was appointed to, as a Fluvanna County representative to the JAUNT board, and I was reappointed this year. And Randy asked me if I would take his place to represent him for the MPO. So here I am.
Well, welcome. We're
And I
delighted.
know
to have-
Neil. I actually did a project for Neil once, so I know him fairly,
This is just getting to be old home week, isn't it? And Karen, thank you for interrupting me to point that out. I really appreciate it. That's great. All right. So I think now we're good, and I'll go on and move us on to the next agenda item, which is the election of officers. And at the last meeting, I requested or asked if Lloyd Snook and B. Kirtley from the city and the county would be our nominating committee for our officers for the next year. And Lloyd and B are both on the line. And I checked in with Jessica this morning, and I know that a blast went out to folks asking if anyone was interested in the position. And B and Lloyd, would you all like, you're in our nominating committee, would you all like to take over for me? Because it's a little awkward for me to do this.
B, I was going to suggest that you do it. My internet connection here is so unstable. I don't hear more than about 1 out of 3 words that other people are saying. Is that an option?
B? B's unmuting, I think, I hope. B, are you there?
Well, if not, I can go ahead and talk.
I think you may need.
I may not hear what anybody's saying to me, but I can talk.
Okay.
All right. Well, on behalf of our nominating committee, I would like to nominate Diantha McKeel to continue as chair.
Okay.
I
And
second that.
And B is back on.
I'm back on. Yes.
Okay, great. So we have people. So I would be interested in remaining as the chair, but having said that, I want to make sure that there's no one else on the board that would be interested in that position. I'm happy to take a nomination from the floor. All right, well, hearing no nomination from the floor then.
Expressed an interest.
I did express an interest today when I talked to the nominating committee. So Lloyd has made a motion and B has seconded. So all those in favor of my continuing as chair, please say yes.
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 Any?
Yes.
Any abstentions and any noes? Okay, and thank you guys very much. And then B, we have and Lloyd, we have a position for vice chair.
Yes, I would like to nominate Lloyd Snook for vice chair.
And I'm willing to be vice chair.
That's lovely. I'm just thrilled to have the city as a partner. It was great to have John and have some other folks, but it's really great to have Lloyd join the team. So are there any other folks that would express an interest in vice chair? All right, with that, then we have a nomination for Lloyd to be vice chair, and we have a second. So with that, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Who was the second? I'm sorry, just for our records. Who seconded that motion?
I thought I heard a second. Did I not hear a second? I will second it.
Very
Sorry.
good. Thank you, Diantha. I just wanted to make sure it was in the minutes.
I actually thought I heard a second, but I can make a quick second. So there you go. So all those in favor of Lloyd for vice chair, please say yes.
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 Any abstentions and any noes? All right, we have a team, Lloyd. And I appreciate Lloyd and Bee both calling in or zooming in this afternoon. And Lloyd, can you hear? Oh, there's his picture. He just jumped up. That's great.
But I
He's
have
freezing.
the video off in the hopes that it would make my internet a little more stable.
I have to say, guys, we shouldn't feel too sorry for these folks because he's on vacation and Bee is on vacation and she's in an airport on her way to Paris. So
Hey, wait, I wanted the sympathy vote.
we really appreciate it. And with all of that,
Absolutely.
I appreciate Lloyd volunteering and I appreciate the support, and we probably should move on with the meeting. So
Yeah, and
go ahead.
yeah, I'm gonna have to sign off because like I said, I'm gonna be boarding soon. Okay.
All right, sweetheart. Have a
Unless you
good
need me to stay for unless you absolutely need me to stay for something coming up.
I think we're okay. Just have a safe trip.
Okay.
Wear your
Good.
mask.
Okay. Thank you very much. See y'all later. I've got it on. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Our next agenda item is Move to Health Equity Coalition. And Peter, I see your face somewhere on here. If I can find you on the screen, I lost you. You've been bouncing around on the screen.
I'm here. Thank you.
Would you introduce yourself and give a little bit of a background about why you're here? And obviously you have a presentation for us. So
Yes, thank you. So my name is Peter Krebs. I'm a planner and community organizer from the Piedmont Environmental Council. Generally speaking, I work on regional transportation, transit, connectivity, and quality of life issues. The Piedmont Environmental Council is one of about 30 organizations that work together as the Move to Health Equity Coalition. If I may, I'd like to share my screen.
sure.
So, okay, can you see my presentation?
We have it now. We're good.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So the Move to Health Equity Coalition is a group of about 30 different organizations that are familiar to you all. Groups like Centera Martha Jefferson, the YMCA, JABA, the Center, who are working to create a community that's healthier and more active. And it started, I want to say about 8 years ago as a specific venture to decrease childhood obesity. Since that time, the coalition has expanded its work to really focus on getting people moving and preventative health care with a focus on equity. We work in 4 specific areas. We have action teams that are pulled from each of our organizations that focus on access to healthcare, active communities, healthy food systems, and healthy spaces. It's important to, I think, understand also that this is a regional group and its service area corresponds with the health district, which also corresponds to the planning district 10. So about almost a year ago, the various focus areas, the work teams, got together and came up with a work program. And in this case, the active communities and the healthy spaces team both decided to collaborate on surveying Charlottesville residents about how they get around the community and what barriers exist for them. The survey was funded by a grant from Centera Martha Jefferson Hospital. This survey is a little bit different from other research First of all, it's focused on neighborhoods, but it's not focused on a specific piece of a neighborhood. So there's lots of research about mobility in Charlottesville and Albemarle, and there's research about how a given project will impact a community, but there's not a lot of neighborhood level research. Secondly, this project tries to focus really on residents and what they need to get what they need. So what transportation barriers get in their way, and how can transportation better help them live healthy lives? Trying to get a little bit past the mode, although the various ways of getting around do show up in the survey. So the survey asks people about transit. It asks people about walking or driving or rideshare or taxis and that sort of thing. Because this survey was launched during COVID, from the start, we decided that it would not be possible or appropriate to get definitive answers from the community about really any question. So really, we're thinking about this survey as almost a beta survey that will ask top-level questions that will inform our future follow-up research. So today I hope to be super brief and just let you know that we're doing the work, and hopefully in the future you'll have me back to talk about some of our preliminary findings and ways we might go forward. The survey, being a neighborhood focused survey, is being distributed through neighborhood associations, but also we think about neighborhoods in ways that are not the same necessarily as the specific boundaries of the city's neighborhoods. So for example, we're working with the Fifeville Neighborhood Association, but we're also working with the community leaders in the Greenstone on 5th Street, which is within Fifeville. This organization, this coalition, Move to Health, has everyday access to regular people. So we're working directly with clients at the Y, directly with the Centera Community Health Center, directly with doctors' offices. City of Charlottesville has helped us get the word out. There are posters in the CAT buses, posters around town, social media. And we're excited that starting in August, we're going to start pushing in gently into actual community events. So we hope to be at the Back to School Bash. I'll be at the basketball tournaments in Tonsler Park and other community events. For now, the plan is to wrap the survey up around Labor Day, but we're going to see how much response we have by then. So once we've concluded the survey, we're going to first of all look at our numbers and see if we have numbers that are large enough to make statistical quantitative inferences. We are going to especially zero in on who we're not hearing from and evaluate refocusing on those areas. And the survey also asks a lot of qualitative questions. And we think that we will certainly have good qualitative questions or information that will help us go forward with our next set of questions. And so we'll have that information in the fall, and I hope to check back in with you all then. And for now, that's what I have. I didn't want to take a bunch of your time without having definitive stuff to say, but if folks have questions, I'll be glad to answer those.
Thank you, Peter. Let me open it up for questions.
So this is the survey, just running through it super quick. It's formatted really narrow on the screen because it's a very mobile device oriented. So this is how it'll flow on somebody's mobile phone. It looks strange on a computer screen.
Yeah.
So.
Great. So let me open it up for questions if anybody has any questions for Peter. We appreciate you bringing this to us. Any thoughts or questions? All right. Well, perhaps in the fall sometime, Peter, you can come back and we can chat about the results and how it went.
I'd be glad to do that. And furthermore, at that moment, we'd like to get feedback on our next round of research questions. So we want this to be a learning opportunity for our all of our partners. We're saying the same thing to the community leaders we're working with. What's going to help you do your work better? So thanks for letting me be here. And if it's okay, I'd like to listen to the rest of the meeting.
Sure, absolutely. We'd love to have you stay. And you might want to put the link into the chat for the survey so people can take a look at it. That's great. All right. Next, we have transit needs discussion for 29 North between Airport Road and Ruckersville. And Lucinda, I think this is your item, your agenda item.
That's me. Can you hear me okay?
I can, yes. Yeah.
I'm going to share my screen. I have some slides. Still working on my Zoom skills. All right, share screen. So we're working with VDOT on a corridor study of Route 29. The area will be from Airport Road up just a little past Ruckersville. So I'm going to give you a little background about the study and then ask you, we're really looking for multimodal needs, and that's why I'm coming to you today. So after I give you the background, I'm going to show you a map of where the study is and what the intersections that are prioritized are. And then hopefully I'll get some feedback from you if you know of any needs in the multimodal area, transit, ped bike, walking. So we've started the study in May, and we hope to end it early next year. And we're going to have 2 public meetings. Plus we're reaching out to groups like this and other community members, and we'll also have a survey. So we have developed some goals and done some studies on the current traffic conditions. And I'm just going to go over the goals with you. So the first goal is to improve safety, reduce manage vehicle conflict points, provide pedestrian crossing opportunities around commercial areas, and provide separation between vehicle and bike ped modes. There is a plan, the Thomas Jefferson Regional Ped Bike Plan has a multi-use path that goes up one side of 29 North to the Greene County line. So that is planned. And it hopefully will be part of the study. Manage congestion is the second goal. And the objectives are to increase person throughput capacity, evaluate best intersection control types, reduce travel time variability, make efficient use of right-of-way for all users. The third goal is to increase multimodal usability and accessibility, to provide bicycle facilities that connect to nearby parks and other amenities, provide ADA accessible transit stops along the corridor, and provide safe pedestrian crossings at target intersections. I've already heard that the pedestrian crossings is a high priority for the community. The fourth goal is to support future growth. The objectives are to develop access management strategies, support local traffic as well as regional demands, provide transit services that offer another mode choice for commuters. And the fifth goal is to support economic development. And the objectives are to accommodate for prominent trucking and shipping operations, provide for mode choices and access to employment opportunities, and to beautify the corridor. These are still draft goals and we're working on refining them. They'll be presented at the first community meeting, and the community will have an opportunity to refine these goals as well. These goals will be used to So the study will identify kind of the problem areas, the intersections where there's a lot of need for an intervention, and then they will, the study will develop some preliminary alternatives and get feedback from the public on the alternatives. And so those alternatives or recommendations to improve the intersections in the corridor will be evaluated by these goals and objectives. So that's how we can kind of weigh in on that. So here's the existing corridor overview. There's 6 traffic lights. And the vision for the project is that US 29 is a corridor that provides safe travel and adequate capacity for all users and users of the roadway. Oh, okay. I missed a PowerPoint slide, but basically some of the intersections that have a high incidence of congestion and safety incidents are the Frays Mill Road, the Lewis and Clark Drive, and Camelot Drive, kind of most in the south order, but up north, there's the Frays Mill Road intersection that scores very high on the need for VDOT area. So they'll be looking at those intersections through this corridor. And what I'd like to hear from you, and I'm asking tonight, is if there are areas where you know of needs, multimodal needs that we could include in the study, and hopefully address those needs as well. I've already gotten some feedback from some other committees. I just wanted to make sure that you all had an opportunity and were aware of this project. And also, please feel free to contact me anytime via phone or email to talk about those needs offline as well.
This is Becca.
So let me open this up. Yeah, Becca, go right ahead.
I was just wondering if you've made proactive contact with the UVA Foundation or NJIC, who are, I guess, have large employment areas right there. Number one, and number two, is the airport itself, or it's just the 29 corridor?
It's just the 29 corridor, but the airport is one of the attractions that we want people to be able to get to. So it is kind of included in that. And we did, UVA Foundation is on our list because they have the research park up there.
Okay, and Chris Green, access to Chris Green Lake from 29, or is that going to connect to the bike trail or something so that?
Yeah, we, the local community asked the study group to include the parks, Chris Green and Pretty Creek Park, and access to those. I know that I've heard that Frays Mill Road is throughway for some cyclists. So that intersection is an important one to make sure that it is accessible for everybody.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Maybe we're ready, Lucinda, for you to take the presentation down, and then,
sure.
Yeah, and then I really appreciate the map, though. It's helpful to see that. It's just hard for me to tell if anybody has anything they want to say. Any comments or questions? I have to say, I didn't realize this study was happening, so this is really good to know. Thoughts or questions? I will say, Lucinda, that we in Albemarle talked about Frays Mill because it's such a dangerous intersection. And we were talking at one point about the possibility of I think it was an R cut at that particular intersection. And I can't remember the outcome, but it's not on our, it's not being planned right now for some reason. And I just don't remember the outcome. I just know that R cut went away, that suggestion. But it is a pretty dangerous intersection. I know that one particularly.
Yeah, so that R cut is part of the study. The study team, the consultants had it as the solution would be an R cut. They made that assumption. And in our last meeting, the community asked if we could roll that back and look at other options. Maybe there's some more low cost options like putting in a warning light for the traffic stop, because most of the accidents are rear ends at that traffic light. So if you put like rumble strips or something in, it would be a lot less expensive than modifying the entire intersection, and that might work. So the study team's going to look at alternatives besides the R-Cut, because it didn't go through because it didn't have a lot of local support.
Yeah, I guess you're right. The community did not like or didn't want the R-Cut. It is interesting though, because there is going to be an R-Cut right down the road at North Point. And so it remains to be seen. That's a new design, I guess is what I'm saying, for this community.
Yeah.
And the R-Cut will be introduced probably through the North Point. So we'll see how it's accepted.
And they're also going to add one in the Lewis and Clark intersection.
Yeah, yeah. So, but all right. Any other comments or questions? This is an exciting study, I think. Yeah. Any other comments, questions? All right. What do you need from us? Do you need us to advertise help? Do you want to put the dates? You had the dates up on the screen for the public meetings, but I wouldn't mind having those. And knowing about those.
Yeah, we haven't solidified the exact date for the first public meeting. It's going to be in mid-September, and I'm working on posting a webpage that will have all of this information on it, and I will share it with you all.
Okay, so when you get that, when it's all in stone, for
Yeah.
example, will you let Jessica know and then we'll share it out? That would be great.
Yes, I would love that too. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to attend, at least listen in. That's great. All right, thank you, Lucinda. I appreciate it. Next one is Sarah Pennington, who's going to give us a presentation on rideshare. And we had in our packet the presentation, I believe, for us to review. So with that, Sarah, I'll turn it over to you.
There we go. Sorry, I was muted. This is just an update to let folks know what to expect and what we have coming up in the next fiscal year for rideshare. The work plan, like you said, was there for everyone to look over. And so I just wanted to highlight a couple of little things. Some of the big items for promotions that we have coming up is the Afton Express, which I'll talk about more in just a moment. We have Tri-Transit and Rideshare Week. Those are both usually fall events. And so we have already been in discussion with some of the transit service providers about ways we can partner and work together to promote transit in Tri-Transit Week. Of course, there is always the ongoing promotion of telework, both through the Department of Rail and Public Transportation and then on the employer end here for rideshare. Looking for ways, creative ways we can partner for Earth Week, which we have done in the past with the Eco Fair and some events at UVA, and then Clean Commute Month and Bike Month coming up in May. So those are all things to have on your radar that you'll be getting more information about. One of the big tasks that we are undertaking in this current fiscal year is looking into some marketing research and an implementation proposal with some consultants. So it has been a little while since we have redeveloped a lot of our materials, and coming out somewhat of the pandemic, we feel like this is a really great opportunity to reevaluate the folks that we want to reach with our TDM messaging and the best ways to reach those folks. So we're going to really hone in on solidifying brand awareness with rideshare and what that means, and that it's more than just carpooling, and all the different services we have to offer with our trip planning that coincides with a lot of the transit offerings. We really want to pick out some key markets and audiences that we can really focus some of this messaging on. Both print and digital, we're looking for updates for a lot of our printed materials. So very excited about this opportunity to really take a deep dive into what are the best ways we can reach folks with this message of alternative transportation in the area? One of the big ones that I think you will probably see us talk about a lot are the environmental impacts. You know, there have been some really interesting things that have come out of COVID. And one of the ones that I think is the most fascinating for us in rideshare is the great impact that telework had on the environment. And with climate change and the climate action groups, both at the city and the county, being very focused and very dedicated, we really see this as an area that we want to capitalize on and really focus on with some of our messaging, because the environmental impacts are so important and so obvious. Like I said, we'll continue to promote telework with telework VA services. So this is a program that DRPT has that is free for employers to take advantage of to really help solidify and create the best telework programs they can. Obviously, most people created some level of telework, formal or informal, during the pandemic, but telework VA services are still there to help make sure that employers are getting the most effective telework program out there. They will take and look at what programs are already doing, assess those needs, make sure that those needs are matching up with the outcomes that they're wanting to get. And again, this is a completely free service. You just have to reach out to rideshare and we can get the ball rolling and get that set up for folks. Last but not least, we are going to be promoting our rewards and app system. That kind of came at the tail end before the pandemic happened. So we really haven't had a chance to make sure that everyone is aware of the great benefits with this. One of the cool features that I love about the app is you get your own personal dashboard that shows you what your impacts of taking alternative transportation are. And then it also will snapshot that for the entire area as well. So people can really see the dollars that are saved, the emissions that are saved. If they're biking, they can see how many miles they've biked for commutes. So it's kind of an interesting way to make your commute personal to you. And like I said, this would be fairly brief, but this is my contact information. Kind of the new quote, don't be afraid to embrace the new normal. And that involves all levels of TDM that we're looking at for our new normal. You know, as people are really migrating back into their offices, this is a wonderful time to reach them and help people reimagine the commute that they can have. So I am open for any questions.
Thank you. That's interesting. That app is really great. Very interesting. Open it up for questions for Sarah. Rideshare questions, comments. Okay, Sarah, I think you have the next one as well, the Afton Express update.
I sure do. You're getting a lot of me today.
Well,
yeah,
you know,
so
there's some new folks that may not know a lot about this particular, so this is great. Yep. So
yeah, we're very excited about Afton.
Nice photo. Afton Express.
Sorry, just having a little difficulty getting it to show correctly. All right. Can
So
y'all see my screen yet?
we can see it, but you're not in presentation mode.
Presentation mode, yeah, there we go. It's lagging a little. Okay, so Afton Express. The Afton Express is a service that will be starting September 1, so very, very soon, which is why we wanted to get this presentation out to you. It will be connecting folks in the Stanton, Fishersville, Waynesboro area with both Charlottesville and Albemarle County. The service is operated through Central Shenandoah Planning District Commission with a demonstration grant that they were awarded from DRPT to start this service. So as some of you may know, public transportation between the Valley area and Charlottesville has been studied and looked at many, many, many times. We have tried van pools. we see a lot of carpoolers who are making that particular journey across Afton Mountain. So with all of those studies and looking at the plans of the localities that this program would service, they were able to apply for a demonstration grant through DRPT to start this particular service, connecting folks on that I-64 corridor. One of the wonderful things is all of the stakeholders who have taken part in helping develop the Afton Express. You can see a list of the partners there. The partners have not only committed financial contributions to the local match, but they have also been participating in the study that preceded this particular transit demonstration grant, and then as well as the development of what the service and the routes were going to look like. So there will be stops in both Stanton, Fishersville, and Waynesboro across the mountain, and then multiple stops on our side of the mountain to drop folks off, 2 at UVA, and then the downtown transit station, as well as the 5th Street station there at Wegmans. This is what the service schedule is currently looking like for the kickoff for this. So as you can see, there are 4 runs in the morning and then 4 runs in the evening, so that this service really is designed for the commuter, which are the folks that have been asking for this for a number of years. The cost to ride is $3 one way or $6 round trip. They will be offering a fare card for $25 that would provide 10 rides. So that way folks that will be riding frequently, which we hope is the majority of people, will be able to reap some sort of discount and get a benefit with that as well. We had a really fun photo shoot that we participated in with CSPDC. This you get to see is what the bus will look like when it comes to town September 1. A lot of amenities to make this the comfortable commute. High back chairs with cushioned seat belts. There will be overhead storage available for folks if they have backpacks and other things that they need to store above. There is, of course, a wheelchair lift and 2 wheelchair positions, and drivers will be assisting in operating the lifts and getting those folks comfortably secured onto the bus. There will also be bicycle racks. We anticipate that many of the folks who will be taking this service on a regular basis, kind of like the Crozet Connect, will need the bike or want to use their bike to then get around town in between their rides to and from work. There will also, of course, be Wi-Fi handy for everyone on the bus as well. So you literally can board the bus and sit back and relax for that 20 or 35-minute commute across the mountain. What we have been doing right now in preparation for this is creating a very robust marketing and promotion campaign. There is a dedicated website that just went live this week. It'll be on the next slide for you to see. We are anticipating some in-person events, including a ribbon cutting. There will be additional updates and information through social media, press releases, and some advertising. And then we are also doing some outreach to some of the park and ride lots that the Afton Express will serve or will serve nearby for folks to know what to expect. So it's all very, very exciting. I feel like it's been years in the making, and so we're so happy to see it here and kicking off September 1. It'll be here before we know it. So I'll entertain any questions on the Afton Express as well.
Sarah, can I go backwards?
Yeah.
I tried to load the app that you spoke about on the rideshare, and I didn't pay close attention to it during your presentation because I figured I could just do a search, but it pops up like Uber and Lyft, and if I just put in rideshare.
Yes, if you just put in rideshare. Sadly, rideshare, when it was established in the 80s, did not get the full domain access to just rideshare. But Jim, if you go to rideshareinfo.org, which is our website, in the top corner, there are those links to directly download the app via Apple or Google Play.
Okay, thanks, Sarah.
Mhm. And if you need any additional information, I'm also happy to share any of those links as well.
Okay.
And Sarah, will you go back for me on the slide? Well, that's okay.
Sure.
I was just
No, I
wondering,
can.
I wanted to see actually where it's stopping and the
Sure.
because I didn't have a chance to really see. And would you share this presentation with everybody?
Yes, I would happily share it. It was not quite ready for us when the packet went out for me to share in the packet, but I can email it out to everyone on the list.
That would be great. And because I'd like to share it with others, with the supervisors.
Absolutely.
But so this is where it's actually going to be stopping. I just was trying to wrap my head around this. So it leaves from the Stanton Mall, Fishersville Park and Ride, and then we have the Ivy Lane in Waynesboro. Okay. All right, here we go. That's great. And then it's running at 5 and 7 and then comes back to, okay, this is great.
And all of the time schedule in the map is also on the website for the Afton Express as well, if you need to refer back to it at any point.
Okay.
And I'm sure we will have some printed brochures coming next month that will have that information included as well.
That's great. That's great. Okay, thank you very much. So let me open it up for comments and questions. I know we have a lot of people who work at UVA who live over in the valley.
UVA has been a wonderful supporter of the Afton Express.
Yeah, Becca?
Yeah, thanks, Sarah, and for all of this. I just wanted our ATP to know that we do plan to have a very direct communication based on our HR data and zip code analysis to very directly market this option to the people that have the zip codes that would match up with the stops. So we're thrilled about it. So can't wait for it to start. The Bavaro bus stop and the health system bus stop are shared by the Connect services. So I think it's a really, really nice starting to create a hub. Cat Route 7 also uses these same stops. So it's really a great thing.
Any other comments or questions? Thanks, Becca. It is exciting because of just being able to reduce some of the traffic. I know the people that use Afton Mountain will be happy to have less traffic if possible. So
yeah, so I just encourage any other large employers or influence you may have over other large employers, because UVA does have a profile that probably models other large employers to mine your HR data and alert the people that have these zip codes to really market it to them, because boy, oh boy, does it save a bunch of money, saves a bunch of stress on the individual.
And a bunch of pollution.
Yes. Yeah, but the people think about it, they're very self-centered. So, but if anybody has that option, I'm sure the city of Charlottesville employs a lot of people that commute, and the county as well as employers. So I guess I would just encourage that.
Yep. All right. Any comments, questions? We'll get the presentation. That's great. And I can at least share that out. I appreciate that. And we have a note from, I think, Stephen, who said, maybe reach out to the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, we have them as a stakeholder that has been involved a little bit in the smaller part of the process and on the list of folks to contact, as well as all of the folks in the rideshare systems will be getting direct contacts as well to let them know about the service.
Great. All right. Well, if there aren't any other comments or questions, we'll move on then. And Jessica, I think you are going to give us an update on the 2 grants that the transit grants we're working on from DRPT.
Yes, that's right. So this is your regular update on our transit grants. So the first one we're going to talk about today is the Regional Transit Vision Plan. So at your last meeting, you guys all had a memo explaining that we had made our decision, and the consulting team we are working with is composed of AECOM, the Jarrett Walker team, and EPR. That team held a kickoff meeting with the project management team, which includes many of you on the RTP as well as staff here at the TJPDC. Our staff are continuing to meet with the consulting team every other week just to make sure that things are going along smoothly, and we met with them today. Things are going along very smoothly. They have a public engagement plan already in draft form. They've begun work on the website, and we should see that up and live soon. The consulting team is planning to come to a regional transit partnership meeting in the fall to talk about the work that they've been doing and how the RTP is going to continue to help with this project. So that's really the update I have on this one. Before I move on to the next grant, does anyone have any questions or comments about this one?
Can I add just real quick, Jessica, that in our meeting today, they wanted to let us know that they're about to put a nudge out to any of the partners that need to provide data.
Yes.
So you'll be getting emails from the consulting team directly if they're still waiting on data from you.
Speak up if you have a question or a comment or anything, because I can't see your faces or your hands or, but everybody okay? All right, so I think you can go to the next one, Jessica.
Great, and if questions come up on this, feel free to ask later. All right, and the other grant we are working on is the Albemarle County Transit Expansion Study. So the technical committee for this study continues to meet on a monthly basis. A public engagement plan has been drafted and reviewed by that technical committee so far. Work on early deliverables is already underway. So the two main early deliverables are a market analysis and a transit potential analysis. So the market analysis focuses on density, demographics, land use, and built environment to highlight demand for transit. And the transit potential analysis focuses on residential and employment density to better understand what service types are the best fit for each area. The website for this study is live and it's linked on our new transit planning page. There's the link there. It sounds like Sarah and I together have a lot of, and Lucinda have a lot of information to share with the RTP. So I will send out a follow-up email that's going to include all of these useful links for you guys. Additionally, public and stakeholder engagement begins next week. It's going to be a very busy week next week for this study. And here are some dates. All of the public engagement and the stakeholder meetings will continue to be held virtually. So that information has gone out through Albemarle County's communications department, and we have put it on the TJPDC social media. Again, we'll share this info with you as a follow-up email to this meeting, and you can share the link information with your networks. So the first public meeting is going to focus on transit mobility in the 29 North Corridor. And it is going to happen on Monday next week from 6 to 7:30 p.m. The second public meeting is going to focus on transit mobility in the Pantops area. And that one is going to happen on Wednesday at the same time from 6 to 7:30. So those are the only two public meetings. And then there will be stakeholder meetings for each of the study areas. So those are going to happen Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week, from 10 to 11:30 a.m. These are really by invite only. So if you feel like you should be on one of these stakeholder meeting invite lists, please let me know. But we compiled a really robust list with the help of Albemarle County staff. And we think we've included a lot of very important voices for each of these areas. That really concludes my update. Are there any questions about either project?
Opening it up for questions. And all of those meetings you said, Jessica, are by Zoom?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And is the link that Christine put, is that where people would find the ways to participate in these public meetings?
Yes, so it's you do have to do a bit of clicking. So you go to that transit planning link that Christine put in the chat. And there we have all of our active projects, which includes a link to the RTP page, but it also includes a link to the project website that we've been talking about for Albemarle County Transit Expansion. And from there, you go to the project link, the project website link, and it will take you to all of the links for all of the public meetings.
So maybe it's maybe it's too much to ask, but I can't imagine that at least some of these folks aren't interested in these public meetings. Is there a way, Jessica, that you could send out the links?
Yes.
To this board, to this committee?
Yep, I will send it out in that follow-up email.
Would you mind? That would be lovely. Thank you. If we can have it all in one place, that would be great. I know it's a little extra work, but I really appreciate it.
Not a problem.
Okay. Any other thoughts, comments? I really am happy that this is moving, both of these grants and this work is moving forward. It's great. Yep. I think the Albemarle County one has, as you all know, a much quicker timeline. So it's a much more aggressive timeline. And with that, I'm just looking in the chat. Peter says the relevant CAC list should definitely get those notices. Yes, and he's exactly right. Our Citizens Advisory Committee in Albemarle County is what he's referencing. So Jessica, we can work on that and make sure that if you'll remind me, I'll help you with that.
Diantha, you don't even need to worry about it. They're already invited. Yes.
So there you go. Great suggestion, Peter, and see, we're all geniuses together. Okay, so with that, let's go on to Sandy. You're going to give us the MPO updates.
I am. So typically I come to you the day after the MPO meeting, but because the month started on the Thursday, you get to hear everything a week before the MPO does. But just a quick little teaser for what's upcoming. The MPO policy board is going to be hopefully adopting the remote work meeting participation policy that you all adopted last month. The CTAC, the Citizens Transportation Advisory Committee, and the technical committee for the MPO adopted those earlier this week. I'm going to come back to Smart Scale in a minute, just in case you all have some more specific questions. But the other things that might be of interest to you all is that Lucinda's been working really hard to revise our public engagement plan. Which basically documents how the MPO is going to remain compliant with all the federal regulations and ensuring that there is appropriate opportunities for citizens to engage in our planning processes. So we'll be having a public hearing on that next week and adopting that. And Lucinda did a really good job of reformatting that policy to make it a lot more user-friendly and a lot less technical in nature. So she did a really good job with that. The project that you all might be interested in hearing a little bit more about is in our FY21 work plan, we included an equity analysis. And so Nick Morrison has been working on that. And one of the things he really focused on was getting familiar with a tool that allows you to do a watershed analysis using GIS data. So you can pick different points of interest or different types of geographic features and conduct an analysis on, who's within a 10-minute walk to those features, who's within a 15-minute walk to those features, and that kind of thing. So he's been able to take that data and overlay it with different demographic information that's available through the Census Bureau to start just helping us develop some tools on how we can do a better job of making sure that we're considering some of these equity impacts as we're evaluating our transportation projects. So he's going to be presenting that to the MPO policy board if anybody's interested in joining us for that presentation. I think that will be interesting.
And when is that? It does sound interesting, Sandy. For everybody, when is it? Tomorrow?
No, it's going to be next Wednesday at 4 p.m. is the policy board meeting.
Next Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And we can go onto the MPO site and figure that out, right?
You can, yep. Or maybe Jessica could include that link in her follow-up email as well.
There you go, Jessica. That would be great if you don't mind, because I would be interested in this equity study. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe other people would be as well. Yeah.
The other thing that I'll mention before, like I said, we'll get into Smart Scale, is that Christine and I had an initial conversation with the Stanton, Augusta, Waynesboro MPO staff earlier this week. Each year, it's been standard for the last couple of years that we do a joint meeting with them at least once a year between the policy boards. So we'll be talking to our policy board next Wednesday as well to see if they are interested in tentatively scheduling a joint meeting with the Stanton, Augusta, Waynesboro MPO a little bit later this fall. We had some really interesting topic ideas for things that have affected both of our regions, and it allows us an opportunity to talk about things like how did the mudslide on 250 impact transportation, and you know, give people an opportunity to experience the Afton Express riding experience, things like that. So we will let you know if that joint meeting moves forward based on the policy board's feedback. So I'm not going to go into too much depth on Smart Scale because I don't want to spoil too many things for Councilman Snook and Mr. Garland Williams for next week. But I do want to just show you where we are real briefly. So I am going to just share my presentation, and I promise I'm not going to go through the whole thing, just a really high level view. So where we are right now is, if you look at this timeline, we are at a point where we are going to be asking the policy board this month to determine which of the projects that have been discussed they would like to move forward for us to develop into smart scale applications. And as you'll recall, we can submit 4 as the MPO total, and then 2 of those projects that they can identify can be based on needing a higher level of engagement or resources to develop into applications. So again, the staff had met between Albemarle County, City of Charlottesville, VDOT. We had all met to discuss really how are we going to evaluate the projects and how are we going to move them forward. And so these are just some of the goals that we want to move forward, projects that we think will be competitive to actually receive funding, that have already been through a public process and have public support, and of course move things through a pipeline of existing plans and studies. And just real briefly, I'm not going to go into each of these in detail. We started with the slate of projects that are shown with the red arrows, starting with the 2 projects that are on the prioritized list in our long range transportation plan, which came out of the hydraulic small area plan. So that's a roundabout at District Avenue, which is over by the Stonefield Shopping Center no, that's in the city. And then this,
well, it's actually,
is it the
Albemarle.
county?
Well,
Or both?
yeah.
It is
Well,
the county, you're right. It is in the
one
county.
side and the county's on the other, but that's a VDOT road, so.
Sure, yeah, it is in the county now that I think of it, I'm getting mixed up.
It's a VDOT road, so, yeah.
Yeah, in an extension of Hillsdale Avenue to extend it from where it currently connects at Hydraulic Road down to connect directly to 250. And what would happen along with that project is it would remove some of the existing ramps between 250 and 29 and redirect some of those traffic movements through a local road network. I think we've already talked about the Ravenna River bike and pedestrian crossing to provide some sort of river crossing for pedestrians and bicyclists, generally in the Pantops Woolen Mills area. And then there were 2 studies that were recently completed for Avon Street and the 5th Street corridor. And so we were looking at developing some packages. This last project, the US 29-250 flyover, was submitted later by a CTAC member. And I can go over it if you're interested in it, but this is not a project that's recommended to move forward at this point. So I'm not going to go through each of the projects individually, but what I will do is let you see what the recommendation is. And if you have questions about any of them, I'm hoping to go back. I'm happy to go back. But again, looking at the cost benefits, looking at all of the planning processes that have already been in place and looking at what that criteria is, basically what the staff is recommending is that the 4 projects that should move forward to be submitted by the MPO are District Avenue, because that has been identified as a high priority project for a while now. The Ravenna River Bike Ped Crossing, and then staff as well as the MPO Technical Committee both supported moving. They had very specific projects that they were recommending to move forward out of the Avon Street corridor and Fifth Street corridor studies. Hillsdale South, even though it's a high priority project, it's also very expensive, $34.3 million. And so the concern is that it probably isn't going to score competitively. So what we had discussed is that if we get to the point where we're ready to submit applications, and the PDC, who also has 4 applications, isn't using all of their application opportunities, we could submit Hillsdale at that point, but it doesn't make sense to submit it if there are other projects that are also really important to the localities, if we don't think that it's going to score well enough to actually get funding. So we'll talk about this in more detail at the policy board meeting if anybody is interested in it, but I wanted to let you know in case you all had any specific questions.
Well, that flyover has sticker shock, doesn't it?
Yep, that one also may not be very competitive.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let me open this. Is that the last of your slides, Sandy? Oh, you have some more. Okay, I'm sorry.
Nope, that's it.
Good. Okay. Anybody have any questions? Some of those are really great projects. The ones that are recommended, they are great projects. They'll really make a difference. We're going to have some transportation projects happening over the next few years in this community that are really going to make a difference. It's really exciting.
We sure hope so.
Yeah. Comments, questions? All right. With that, then we're going to go to our what I call our round robin, the transit provider updates. And Karen, it looks like to me, JAUNT's on the list first.
All right. Well, I guess our big news is that we reopened our main facility, our main building, with a telecommuting policy in place, which Sarah's so excited about. And actually, you know, we have a serious parking problem at our main facility between the staff parking and the bus parking, and the telecommuting policy has really made a positive impact on that. We were bracing ourselves, and it's had a good impact, a really positive impact. It was great to have everyone back in. The drivers are back in the building for the first time in a year and a half, which, yeah, so it feels good to have everyone together again and connected. In addition to that, we moved forward to returning to full capacity on all our buses. We are following the FTA regulations, of course, with everyone wearing masks, including the drivers. But we have had pent up demand, and we were analyzing it across the state, and we found out that about 50% of the systems have already gone back to full capacity. And we have such good vaccination rates in the area, we made the decision to move forward. And that has definitely relieved a lot of scheduling and pent up tension, and reduced the denial rate that we've had. So those are 2 really important things for us. And we think we're ready for our ridership to return to normal.
Any questions for Karen about JAUNT? We're glad you're back.
We're glad.
All right, Albemarle County.
I'm sorry, Karen, this Becca, any update on the Crozet Connect going back to 2 separate routes rather than the combined route?
Yes, and we'll put out a press release about that. Thanks for asking, Becca. Our plan is to get it back up and running on its regular schedule by the 1st or 2nd week in August. Just sort of running it, we're trying to get ahead of when you are anticipating the return of, we're trying to stage it and plan it that way, have it up and running, work out any kinks after, a year and a half, and then we'll be ready for the return of your employees.
So just for anybody that's new that might not know, Crozet Connect is the commuter service that JAUNT runs for us between Crozet and a couple of spots downtown and the university. So,
Thanks, Diantha.
all right. Well, it's a great, have we solved, and I think I ask you this all the time, have we solved the bicycle problem? I think I asked you this last time.
The what problem?
The bicycle problem. People wanted to take their bikes on the,
Yeah, all the commuter buses have bike racks on the front.
but they were wanting to take more bikes than I thought you all had room for.
Well, in which case they can bring them on board.
Okay, all right, sounds good. It's all good. So let's see, the next one is Jim Foley, Albemarle County Public Schools.
Thanks, Diantha. Like Garland, we're trying to fill open driver positions, which is true of 90% of the districts in the state. I haven't heard if we'll receive the grant for the 2 electric school buses yet. Charging was going to be expensive, but Dominion actually stepped up and will pay for any charging stations that we need, that's good news. We have 1 more week left of summer school. We put HEPA filters in all of our school buses. So that will actually filter out the virus, like in an airplane.
Right.
We'll be at full capacity next school year. And I'm looking forward to the normal chaos of a school year instead of this COVID stuff. So that's my report.
That's great news. And the HEPA filter idea is really great to be able to do that. That's really great. Questions for Jim?
And that'll help even, after COVID, because a lot of our employees have, sensitivity to pollen and dust. And so it'll be a good thing.
Yeah, that's one of the good outcomes, I think, of all of this. We're learning how we can take care of people better. And some of this filtering and air filtration is part of that. So it's all good. That part's good. Questions for Jim? All right. Next on my list is Becca with UTS.
Hey, good afternoon. So UTS continues to have about we have a 60% capacity on our buses, which is 30 passengers. And of course, the mask mandate for public transit remains. We have our modified routes that kind of emphasize McCormick Road as a walking site and really emphasizes transit trips from the endpoints in. We anticipate continuing that into the fall semester. Like everyone, we have very critical open positions, open bus driver positions. It's very, very significant. So, I think we are all going to have a major whiplash. The students, first year students will be moving in on August the 18th. So I think we're going to go from what happened. That first week of school is called Wahoo Welcome. That's the new thing for that week. So August 18th, it'll hit, and we have a football game on September the 4th, September the 11th, and Friday, September the 24th. So we will go from, our sort of lulled into semi-consciousness to full bore crazy couple weeks starting on the 18th of August. So anybody have any questions for me? Thank you.
I don't see any questions, so thank you, Becca. And Garland, you have both, of course, CAT and the Charlottesville City Public Schools report. So
on the CAT side, we have been holding public meetings. We've held 2 for our changes as a FTA requirement. We've gotten a number of suggestions about modifications to the proposed route modifications. We're going through each one of those. There'll be an FAQ question kind of thing that we'll put on our website to kind of make sure that everybody's aware. We'll pass that information along to city council members and the board members of Albemarle County, so you can see what those questions were, what those suggestions were, and how we have handled those. We are still potentially moving forward with a potential schedule of about second week of September to launch all the adjustments, unless something we can't get all of the bus stops in place by that time. But we're still trying to move forward to that. There will be some changes that have to occur, and we've had some good suggestions from the public. We will incorporate those, but everything can't be done, unfortunately. On the school bus pupil side and CAT public side, we're still short on drivers like everybody. So it's a national issue. So it's Charlottesville is not immune to that bug. So we are hopefully looking at all of our all our resources to try to get more drivers. And we're also recruiting on mechanics. We need elongate our number of hours to be able to work on our vehicles. That's one of the positive things, unfortunately, of the pandemic is we had a number of vehicles down for a long period of time. We were able to get a lot of the larger work done, which has really been good. Some engine changes, some transmission changes. So we've taken advantage of that. School bus, we have had with council's blessing, ability to entice folks with a $2,400 sign-on bonus or retention bonus for our drivers, school bus and pupil, to make sure that we don't lose anybody, or we can hopefully recruit some more school bus drivers and CAT drivers to help with our model. That, and we're also gonna, for the healthcare benefit side of the house, where individuals are like part-timers, we're gonna pay the difference so they will have full-time benefits, equivalent to full-time benefits. So we're hoping that will entice individuals to also come and stay with CAT. Phone ringing behind me. Hold on one second.
Could somebody repeat what his sign-in on bonus is and when it starts? What's the dollar?
$2,400. It started with council's approval 2 nights ago. So we're working through the mechanics of it. I'm sorry, what was that, Monday night? So 3 nights ago. So we're working through that model as to when it will launch. When the person is hired, their first 30, 60 days is we're trying to get them through, get their CDL, get them through the testing, get them their S for the school bus. Once that, then we will pay a portion of the sign-on, and then there will be 2 more additional payments over 9 months period of time.
Garland, your current employees receive that as well, right?
Our current employees will receive that as well. So it's a sign-on for the folks who are coming, and the same amount for individuals who are here as a retention bonus.
Is that school bus or school bus and transit?
School bus and transit.
And technicians?
I'm doing everybody. I don't want to lose a soul. So we're gonna make sure everybody gets the money.
Staff?
Everybody.
You getting that?
I don't know about me, but we'll see. I'm making sure my whole. Oh,
sorry, I shouldn't have asked
you
that.
shaking your head already. I'm like, no, but we're trying to make sure that I'm trying to make sure I'm not going to lose anyone. We're trying to recruit more mechanics, and that's also a critical component for us.
That's a really good move, Garland.
Yeah. So hopefully it has the effect that we want, which means it's going to stop our loss and then move forward from there.
Garland, you're a popular guy tonight. I really am only just going to say that the thought about looking at the school system bus service in the future would help solve this problem for at least Charlottesville and Albemarle drivers and school systems. Maybe. It's worth investigating.
We're open to investigating.
Yes, I think it would be really interesting. So I'd be happy to, maybe we should sit down and chat sometime.
Yeah, and we are too.
Yeah, so let's do it. Maybe we can get something on the calendar.
Yeah, it would have to be, it's complex.
Right, it is, and I understand that, but
Extremely.
it's also could save everybody a lot of money and anyway. And what I'm referring to is the idea of the two student systems coming together in a fashion so that they're under one division with the same salaries and the same benefits and everything. Okay, so Neil, I don't see you on this list, but I'm going to give you a shot at this anyway.
I do have a few things to say, announce that Commonwealth Transportation Board yesterday approved our new trip program. And this will be offered to our transit systems beginning actually August 1st. And I believe it goes through some part of September. And it has two elements to it. This was a legislative program approved by General Assembly and the 20 General Assembly that will have one piece for certain urban areas to do regional transportation projects. Charlottesville is included in those urban regional areas. And then the second piece, which is completely sort of separate, but is to look at, and this is actually passed before the pandemic, but it was to look at fare-free programs or zero fares. And so this will be a program that will be looking at transit systems, in some cases, to continue to stay fare-free. This is the first year of the program. So we did some, I think last spring, we did some RFIs. In other words, intention to some people to apply to maybe guide them into situations of what we're looking for. But I know we'll be doing a webinar, I believe, sometime in the next, actually on, looks like next Thursday, the 29th. So we do expect, hopefully all our transit systems will be a part of that. We're excited about this program. And again, it is the first year of it. So we're looking at, hopefully those who, whatever reason we don't fund, how we can work with them that have legitimate projects that we can move on to the future. And so in some cases, there'll be multi-year funding projects also. At the same time, the General Assembly this past year approved a study that we're doing, which is an equity and modernization study that we are working on very speedily. Kimberly Horn is the consultant on it. And just to give you an idea, it is to look at access to the bus service, whether it's the physical bus stop being, accessible with shelters and benches and ADA, but also the access of people getting to bus service. And at the same time, looking at modernization as we're all looking at whether the fuel systems and things of that, electric, natural gas. And so we're sort of on a strict schedule for this. There's something we have to deliver to the General Assembly in December, but the final report will actually follow after that. We do, the request for the study, hopefully will lead to funding for us also as we move along. So that's one thing, two things. And then I guess the final piece is that we are, as people talk about social distancing, it looks like we will be removing some of the social distancing on our Virginia Breeze buses. We hope to be marketing very quickly, some new marketing, because I know that we started the route pretty much while UVA has been shut down, but we hope to increase that. And Becca, I'm sure our marketing people will be contacting you on that. So we're looking to increase that service. We are actually looking at a fourth quarter. Really won't affect Charlottesville, but we are looking at a bus that will start in Bristol, Virginia, and we'll go up down the 81 corridor up to Dulles and Union Station. So we've had some increases on that ridership as the summer's going along on all our buses, especially the bus that now goes from Blacksburg to up 81. So there's actually a lot going on right now.
Great. Thank you. Becca?
Are you lifting physical distancing or are you modifying it?
There'll be I think we're looking to lift it actually. We're working with the contractor. We will still be wearing masks. But our issue, and it may be an issue, it's the issue everybody has, is that we've had to add extra buses in certain cases where, in our case, we're taking extra buses from Washington, D.C. up to Blacksburg to start. And so we are at this point looking to lift it. We haven't made that final decision. Right now, we're looking at, same as you, looking at 30 or 29. But we think that as school starts, that we think we may be lifting it. But the process will stay on. So wearing the mask.
I have a question there. Are you all monitoring the uptick, and how are you deciding based on, I understand the efficiency piece for lifting it, but in terms of health and safety?
Well, we're looking at and again, we haven't made that final decision yet, but we're working with the contractor who is Dylan, who actually runs Megabus. So we're looking at the national trend a little bit to see what some of these city carriers are doing and things like that. So, yeah, I can't say that the final decision's been made, but we certainly have discussed it a lot in the last few weeks. And so I think we actually, in some ways, we may test, or I say that test is question some of the riders as we're moving into those months, the riders that are now riding in social distancing, whether that would be an issue or not. So, but as some systems have been lifting it, we feel that we'll probably move in the same direction. Now, as we all know, that could change next week in the opposite direction, the way things are, some ways of things go. And so it's not, not something that we've made the exact change in, but we are looking, to go in that direction.
Kaya, did that help answer your question? Yeah. She makes a good point about how you can track, and I think it's concerning for everybody right now.
Right. And so we already have people who bought seats. And so those buses, we feel that they probably bought those under certain conditions that they were going to be, we said, social distancing. We're probably going to look at, as we move into future reservations, whether we can do that. And so that, I know that September's not that far off, but that would be sort of the direction. But we have a lot of buses in August that have already met the 29 or 30. And so we automatically add another bus into the system when it does that. So.
Yeah, as we're seeing though, the rates,
right, and I think that's why I said it could change back to not happening too. So
have to be very cautious.
Clients out with the Delta variant, it's
right.
the people coming in contact with the virus, their viral load, the closer they are to someone else, that increases, and that then increases their potential to transmit the virus to other people. So that close proximity in an enclosed space has been one of the driving factors, and we've never had sufficient contact tracing. So there's not going to be a lot of data on that, but it's just something to really, pay attention to. And there are some areas that are, going back to some of the restrictions they relaxed just a month or so ago because of the factor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good point.
A very good point.
Yep. Okay, I think did anybody have any questions for Neil? I may not have asked that. Right. And
I don't have a question. I have a comment.
Sure, absolutely.
Part of Neil was talking about the TRIPS program. CAT will be applying for that TRIPS program. We've actually had cursory conversations, Karen and I, about looking at it. And I know we're both having studies done right now to look at the impact of if we're going to take advantage of the funding, there's on the back end, how do we afford it when the state funding goes away? So that's part of what the study is looking at. And that's one of the things that the state wants us to do as a part of looking at and applying for the grant. So that's going on behind the scenes right now. CAT and JAUNT are both doing that. Hopefully with speed this process up, middle of August, be able to have the first draft. So the end of August, we'll be ready to submit our grant proposals.
Great. Okay. All right. And any other comments or questions from folks? I see that I think Lloyd is still on, putting him on the spot perhaps. His connection was so bad when we talked about his election as vice chair. I was wondering, Lloyd, did you want to come on and try it again? Did you have anything you wanted to say? You look like you're still frozen, Lloyd. Are you there? Bad connection?
Well,
There-
I didn't hear, I heard my name being called, but I didn't hear what.
I was just offering you another chance if you wanted to say anything, because you were elected vice chair and then your connection was so bad you didn't have a chance to say anything.
Right. I heard that. I did hear that, and hopefully next month, when I'm not up in the mountains, I will be able to participate more meaningfully, but.
Okay, I just wanted to give you the opportunity. All right. Well, with that, folks, unless someone else has something they want to put on the table to discuss, I am going to adjourn us until, I think it's August the 26th will be our next meeting at 4 o'clock. We will gather around, and in the meantime, you all stay safe and have a lovely summer. Students will be back by then, Becca. All right. See you guys later. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
That was a good meeting.